Ethan Page and Impact Wrestling, we have an update about the contract of Ethan Page. Of course, Ethan Page, one half of the North, former Impact World Tag Team Champion, one half of the longest reigning Impact World Tag Team Champions in Impact Wrestling history. Now, Ethan Page's current contract does expire at the end of the year. If he reaches free agency, of course, he will draw interest from the likes of WWE, AEW, and other companies. But his preference, he has admitted in a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, is to extend his run with Impact Wrestling and continue rebuilding the company into a major force. Now, I've got a couple of quotes here from his interview with Sports Illustrated when he did discuss his contract and his contract preferences. Obviously, as I mentioned, his contract is expiring at the end of the year. He said, quote, "Truthfully, I've been getting a lot of flack for posting so many shirtless photos online. I'm trying to change the perception of Ethan Page. I'm trying to convince Impact Wrestling to sign me to a new house. I'm tired of stepping on toys in my living room. My kid needs a playroom in the new house, so I'm trying to change my home life through my professional life. I'm trying to convince the world to stop looking at me as a charismatic, handsome, somewhat pudgy Ethan Page and start looking at me as the model actor, world-renowned superstar Ethan Page." And then after sort of joking about that, he actually did speak about his contract. He said, quote, "Impact has been amazing. They're allowing me the opportunity to chat with other companies, and they're handling this in an extremely professional manner. I'm open to chatting with other people, but my interest is hearing how Impact values me and what they're willing to offer," end quote. So there's a couple of really important takeaways, I would say, from those quotes by Ethan Page there during that interview with Sports Illustrated. I think one of the really important things to note there is that he is speaking to other promotions. He mentions it there. They've allowed me to speak to other promotions. So Ethan Page is speaking to other promotions and other companies. Now, obviously, he's not going to openly say, "Yeah, I'm speaking to AEW at the moment. I've been talking on the phone to Cody, or I've been talking to Triple H and NXT, or Vince McMahon and WWE, or whatever." He isn't going to do that. But he's open that Impact have allowed him to speak to other companies to see what's on the table. But I think maybe even more importantly than that, yes, he is talking to other companies, but most importantly, Impact Wrestling comes first when it comes to Ethan Page. It's all about what Impact can offer him, what offer Impact does give him. So it looks like at the moment, according to Ethan Page, maybe there hasn't been a firm offer of, "This is what we're going to give you," basically, from Impact Wrestling. This is what we're looking at. This is the terms we value at, all of that sort of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think the real important takeaways of that is, yes, he's speaking to other promotions, but Impact Wrestling comes first. And I think, to be honest, hearing that from Ethan Page, I think is a huge positive. It's a huge positive for Impact Wrestling. Ethan Page and the North, in my opinion, they're still the best tag team in Impact Wrestling right now. And obviously that does factor in their previous accomplishments with Impact Wrestling. They held the Impact World Tag Team Championships for over a year. They really did help rebuild the company, obviously specifically the tag team division. Impact Wrestling at the moment is probably more popular today than it has been for a very, very long time. You can look at that in terms of, and I know people will say, well, the ratings on Access TV compared to Spike TV. Yeah, I get that. I mean popular in terms of from where it was in 2016, 2017. That company was dying. And that isn't the case with Impact Wrestling right now. So there is popularity there. And maybe more importantly than the ratings and buy rates and social media metrics and all of that kind of stuff, maybe more importantly, Impact Wrestling right now has the best reputation it's had in a really, really long time. And that really does count for a lot. And I'm talking back to the mid-2000s. That's the reputation that it has right now. When TNA at the time, NWA, TNA, whatever, was still hip, it was still up and coming, it was cool, and it had a lot of promise, and a lot of people really liked it. A lot of people wanted to go and work there, and a lot of people wanted to watch it. Impact Wrestling right now has the reputation of, this company is cool, they do good stuff, and maybe even the most important thing, it's a great place to work and get over. If you go to Impact Wrestling, you get the opportunity to get over and then maybe go somewhere else or restart your career or do something different. And that is a really positive trait for Impact Wrestling right now. When was the last time you could ever say that about Impact Wrestling? Not for a really, really, really long time. And it's been years, hasn't it, with Impact Wrestling because of the politics involved in it, the owners, the financial troubles, the old talent coming in from WWE or even WCW, pushing down of younger original talent, all of that kind of stuff. It just doesn't exist right now. Now, obviously, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, and I'm not saying that all of that positivity is because of Ethan Page or the North or anything like that. Far from it. But my point is that Impact Wrestling is a great place to work right now. And it would appear that because of those reasons and because of the popularity and because of the growth that the company has seen over the last 18 months, 2 years, Ethan Page is open to staying, which is really, really important. It's really, really important. Ethan Page is the kind of wrestler that gets attention from AEW and WWE when his contract expires. He really is that good. He's a top shelf talent. He really is. He's that good. For me, Ethan Page is arguably the best promo right now in Impact Wrestling. I think his talent on the mic is absolutely tremendous. He is just that good on the microphone, cutting a promo numerous times over and over and over again, and it just appears like he gets better when it comes to the mic work. And that's really hard to teach. So many talents over the years, their careers they've only got to a certain level because they can only do so much on the microphone. You know, they're great in the ring. How many times we've seen it? They're a great athlete in the ring, but you put a microphone in their hand and they can do nothing, and it's a boring promo, or it just doesn't work, or they struggle to get their words out. Ethan Page isn't like that, and it's a hard quality to teach. His promo is fantastic. That's natural talent. That's what it is. It's natural talent. It's charisma. It's having that it factor. Ethan Page has it. He has that it factor. He really does. Now, personally, and I've shared my opinion on this a few times here on the channel, personally, I would like to see Ethan Page stay in Impact Wrestling for a little while longer. I'm a huge fan of the North. I think they're a fantastic tag team. For me, as I mentioned earlier on, they are still the best tag team in Impact Wrestling. Now, obviously, they have a match scheduled for Bound for Glory, which is the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the Impact World Tag Team Championships. You have the tag team champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, defending against the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, against the North, and against Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. So there's no doubts that'll be a fantastic match. I think arguably could steal the show, although I do think the main event between Eric Young and Rich Swann does look particularly strong this year, just from a storytelling point of view. But it should be a fantastic show regardless. We will be doing a watch-along here on the channel for that pay-per-view. I can confirm that, so be sure to mark your calendars. Not only Bound for Glory, but a WrestleNews 365 watch-along. I mean, you can't miss. You can't miss it. But I think there's more to do when it comes to Ethan Page in Impact Wrestling. I want to see the North feud with the Good Brothers specifically. I know we're kind of getting that at the moment, but there's a lot of moving parts at the moment in this Tag Team Championship feud. Obviously, there's 4 tag teams involved. It's kind of been a bit of mix and match. I want to see the North versus Good Brothers feud individually. I want to see that, just 2 tag teams facing off against each other. I think the promos there are going to be fantastic. I think Ethan Page going up against the likes of Gallows and Anderson on the mic, I think is going to be really good, because you look at the Good Brothers in Impact Wrestling, obviously they're off the leash. They can do whatever they want. And when you let them be themselves and you let them cut promos the way that they do talk, look at Talking Shopomania. That's the Good Brothers. That's what they're capable of. That show, in all of its terribleness, was absolutely spectacular, and it was absolutely brilliant. It was a terribly brilliant show, and that shows what the Good Brothers are capable of. And they're not just comedy. Obviously, they can be serious and they can have great feuds and great matches. And I think there's more to a North versus Good Brothers feud. I think there's more meat on the bone there. So I want to see that in Impact Wrestling. Now, obviously, his partner, Ethan Page's partner, Josh Alexander in the North, his contract expires in 2022. So he isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And that also was a bit of a concern for a lot of people, myself included, with Ethan Page's contract expiring at the end of the year. It was that if Ethan Page leaves Impact Wrestling on December 31st, January 1st, whatever, the North would split up and they'd be in different companies. And that sucks. That sucks. Now, I must say, I don't think, it's not to say that I don't think we'll see the North split up in Impact Wrestling at some point, because I do. I think we will eventually see the North split up in Impact Wrestling. You've got to remember, these were 2 singles guys that came together, and usually I hate that, but these 2 guys have formed a legitimate tag team and a fantastic tag team, and one of the best tag teams well, the best tag team in Impact Wrestling right now, but one of the best tag teams in the world. I wouldn't have any problem making that statement. So I do think eventually we'll see the North split up in Impact Wrestling, but I think if you're going to do that, it needs to be done over a longer period of time than 3 months, which realistically, we're in October. If Ethan Page did leave and you wanted to get that North split up done, you'd have 3 months to do it. And that just, to me, isn't enough time to make a worthwhile story of this proportion with a team with this history in Impact Wrestling right now. I think an Ethan Page versus Josh Alexander feud needs to be told in a long form. Whenever they decide to do that in Impact Wrestling, they need to tease dissension. They need to tease it for a long period of time. Have one of them just break down and attack the other. Then the other has to sell the injury. All of that is going to take, I would say, minimum 6 months. That's how long I would want that feud to take and that story to be told. This is the longest reigning tag team champions in Impact history. Impact have been around for 18 years at this point. Come a bit of credit. If you're gonna do the tease and you're gonna do the breakup, let's take our time and let's do it properly. So I don't think that can be done in 3 months. So that would be a concern if Ethan Page does leave. But the way he's talking, that he is considering staying. Now, as I mentioned, I do think the North will eventually break up in Impact Wrestling because, in my opinion, I think Ethan Page can be a world champion in Impact Wrestling. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. Ethan Page, you look at him right now today, Ethan Page could win the world championship in Impact Wrestling, and I don't think anyone could disagree that he wouldn't be worthwhile of that. He's absolutely got all the tools and talent required to be a world champion in Impact Wrestling right now. I think he has the mic skills. I think with his recent transformation in his physical appearance, his weight loss, and the way he looks right now, he obviously has the look. With the mic skills comes the charisma. He absolutely has the charisma. He can work in the ring. I think how many fantastic matches the North have had over the last year or so. He absolutely can work. He really does have it all. He has it all. So I think, again, that's another reason why it's so vital and so important that Impact Wrestling does manage to eventually get Ethan Page to re-sign with the company, because he's a guy that you can really build the promotion around going forward. He's a guy that, when he does split with Josh Alexander and they do the North splitting up, he's a guy that can be their centerpiece. He really is. He can be a world champion. He can be a big name player. So it's really, really important for Impact Wrestling right now to tie down these kind of talents. You've got the momentum. You've got a lot of positivity in the dressing room and backstage. You've also got a lot of positivity when it comes to your fan base and other fans that are starting to watch Impact Wrestling or return to Impact Wrestling that haven't watched the show in a long time. It's important to tie down the talent that's brought these fans back, and it's important to tie down the talent that's helped foster this really positive attitude of Impact Wrestling at the moment. So that's why it's so important to tie down someone that is as talented as Ethan Page. It's a no-brainer, and I don't think it's down to Impact Wrestling not wanting to re-sign him. Of course, Impact Wrestling wants to re-sign him, but maybe they have to put their money where their mouth is with this. Maybe they have to make him an offer. Ethan Page mentioned there, he's changed his appearance, he's changed up his look, he's doing the best work of his career, he's a money talent right now that requires a big contract. And reading between the lines there, in that interview with Sports Illustrated, he's basically saying, look, I want to stay with Impact Wrestling, they're allowing me to talk to other companies, but I'm going to listen to Impact Wrestling offers first. And look, I've changed the way I look, I've changed the way that people perceive me. I just want to be compensated the right way that I deserve, essentially. And I think Impact Wrestling, look, they've got the financial ability to do that. Look how many talents they've brought in over the last 6 months or so. It'd just be a case of if Anthem's willing to spend that amount of money during a pandemic, they absolutely should. Ethan Page, as I mentioned, is a money talent. They absolutely should, because he's worth it. He's worth every penny. He absolutely is worth every penny. And as I mentioned, for me, he's the future world champion in Impact Wrestling. He really is. Now, obviously, not just Impact Wrestling, but I think, and people might laugh at this and go, you're crazy here, but I think Ethan Page, I think he can even be a world champion in AEW. I really do. Now, that wouldn't be an immediate thing. I'm not saying if Ethan Page goes to AEW in January, he immediately becomes the world champion. Far from it. But I think there's potential there. I think there's potential there that give him a year, give him 18 months. If he was in AEW, with the kind of promos that he's cutting, why not? Eddie Kingston's another one. Eddie Kingston, obviously, I know is way more experienced and a veteran. But you look at Eddie Kingston, obviously he can work in the ring and he's got that almost a Japanese style, but that brawling style as well. He's not exactly known for being the most amazing in-ring wrestler by any means, but Eddie Kingston can cut a hell of a promo. And that shows you how far it can get you, because he had a world championship match with Jon Moxley, because he can cut a promo and he's entertaining. So what could Ethan Page do? What could Ethan Page do in AEW? He could be in that world championship conversation. Absolutely. Absolutely. And he's a talent that hasn't touched the WWE before, so he feels unique, he feels original. He could absolutely be a world champion in AEW. And in the same vein, he can be a world champion in Impact Wrestling. But the difference there, I think, potentially would be that AEW would maybe take him a little bit longer, whereas, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I think Ethan Page, if Impact wanted to, they could put the world title on him tomorrow, and nobody would second guess that. Nobody. Because he's world champion material. He just is. So he did mention in that interview, obviously, that he wants to hear the Impact offer first, and he is speaking to other companies, so we can't rule out, obviously, an AEW jump or maybe even an NXT or WWE jump. We can't rule it out. And specifically when it comes to AEW, look, he has had contact with Cody. He does have a relationship with Cody. And yeah, let's be honest here. We have to read the tea leaves a little bit, and we don't have any concrete confirmation of this, but you would like to think, and I probably would think, that AEW would obviously want him. He's a tremendous talent. I think maybe at this point of time, AEW might want the North more than they want Ethan Page. I don't know, but that isn't the package right now. It's Ethan Page's contract that expires at the end of the year, not the North. So I think AEW would want him. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want him? So we'll have to wait and see. Personally, the way that I read that interview in Sports Illustrated, I wouldn't be surprised if he does re-sign with Impact Wrestling. Maybe it's a deal where it's until 2022, like Josh Alexander. Then at the end of those deals, they both can consider maybe going to AEW or going to WWE or NXT as a tag team or something like that. That would make sense. But it depends if we get the North split up in Impact Wrestling first. And as I mentioned, anything can happen. If 2020 has taught us anything, not just in pro wrestling, but this entire year, that is that anything can happen and anything can change at any period of time. So we'll have to wait and see. As I mentioned, personally, I'd like to see Ethan Page stay with Impact Wrestling for maybe just a couple more years before he really starts to branch out into that major singles career that is coming his way. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Ethan Page and his contract update? Do you think he will re-sign with Impact Wrestling after his comments with Sports Illustrated? Or do you think he will leave at the end of his contract at the end of this year and go maybe to AEW, WWE, NXT, or wherever? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys and talking about Impact Wrestling here on the channel, so be sure to leave a comment. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button as well. Really just helps out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. So be sure to give us a like on this video. And most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe and we can hopefully hit that 1,000 subscriber goal very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.